after that and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously, she wants to get better than where she is now. She's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to
The most important contest in Miami was never the championship match itself. And that is precisely the issue that nobody is ready to acknowledge. Two worldwide celebrities stepped into a title event that should have been completely sold out within minutes. Yet the genuine excitement had already disappeared several days earlier. Ticket costs dropped, the hype faded away, and supporters silently lost interest. So what transformed so suddenly? And how did one surprising athlete manage to eclipse the entire championship without even appearing there?
Of course, I see some of the things, but for some reason, I see more negative than positive about myself. So I try not to really look deep. And whenever I see my picture or something about myself, I go to the next one, because I don't know, like sometimes people just being rude and mean, like to all of us, and I feel like it just doesn't really worth reading and going through.
If Alex' performance thrills you just as much as it thrills us, be sure to tap that subscribe button and stay updated for every thrilling highlight. The instant the Miami Open women's title match was revealed, something felt wrong. And not in a quiet way that only hardcore tennis followers would spot, but in a loud, obvious silence that echoed through vacant seats, unsold tickets, and a level of disinterest that nobody expected from a championship featuring two of the sport's biggest names.
She works hard. Yes. That's why we like her, because she's the face of the Philippines.
Just aside from her talent, she's also thinking of the future.
I've only dreamed of making tennis grow in the Philippines, and now I'm bringing a whole new audience to tennis all around the world.
So when Eala plays, we all get together and we all watch her support her as a group of people.
Are there actual gatherings?
Oh yeah,
yes.
Really? Oh yeah.
Okay. It's
we plan our dinner.
On paper, this final looked unbeatable. You had Eala Sabalenka, one of the most powerful hitters dominating modern tennis, facing Coco Gauff, the young sensation who had been promoted for years as the future of the sport. This was meant to be a dream clash. The type that networks highlight months ahead of time. The type that sponsors invest in without any second thoughts.
It's going to be an important match for both women. They're going to be both defending a lot of points coming up for the clay season, so this win can do a lot for them padding their points. Gauff, she wants to win this tournament badly. She said it before. It's her home WTA 1000 tournament, and she's going to be seeking her first title of the season and her fourth WTA 1000 and 12th career WTA title overall. Aryna, meanwhile, is looking to become the fifth woman in the Open era to complete the Sunshine Double, winning Indian Wells and Miami in the same year.
Yet someone was absent, because just days before that final, the whole atmosphere in Miami had been taken over by a name the tournament officials never truly anticipated. A competitor who was never supposed to dominate the storyline, and definitely not the financial side of the event, Eala. And the moment she left, everything shifted. I am so worried for Coco heading into this final in Miami.
I'm so scared for Coco Gauff to play this final in Miami against Sabalenka. Sabalenka defeats Rybakina in her semifinal in 6-4, 6-3. And now this was not only a very dominant scoreline by Aryna, she also just played very strong, very hard-hitting tennis, and this makes me scared for Coco. But whenever these two play, it's never boring. And they're currently tied in their head-to-head with 6-all, so both have won 6 matches against each other. Although Aryna Sabalenka did win their last meeting, so let's see what Coco Gauff can do.
At the beginning, the warning signs were simple to overlook. Almost easy to brush aside if you wanted to keep believing everything was proceeding perfectly. Ticket resale values started falling a little, then clearly, then sharply. Social media activity around the final leveled off instead of surging. Networks that had counted on a big jump in viewers suddenly began lowering their forecasts. It made no sense, or at least it made no sense if you still trusted that the usual order of women's tennis still controlled fan attention. But that trust had already begun to weaken long before the final. Rankings were checked, calculations were applied, and the result seemed straightforward. She had not yet secured her spot among the top players. But What those statistics missed was the growing momentum. They missed how supporters were already drawn to her journey. They missed the way her matches brought an element of surprise that made them impossible to turn away from. And most of all, they missed how her presence connected far beyond the usual tennis crowd.
Like, we're not concerned about anyone else right now. It's Alex Eala time. This is Alex Eala's moment. Our days, our dinners, our evenings are fixated on when she's playing. That's real tennis fandom right there. Love it.
$77 a month. Come on, just go get it. I mean, $77 for the year.
For the year, yeah.
I mean, that's a
month.
better.
Come on.
That's a better upgrade than your monthly subscription. You got to go get that. $77.
Have you ever heard of another player other than their family that planned dinners around one tennis player?
Not
No.
for me, just my family.
No, probably not even my family.
Depends what it was for dinner, but this is so great for tennis in general.
Yeah.
I think having
Right from the
players
opening
like
round, something different began to unfold. Audiences were not simply observing her. They arrived earlier, remained longer, and cheered much louder. Video clips of her games did not merely spread. They went viral across every platform. Supporters who had never closely followed the WTA suddenly found a reason to watch, not because of rankings or seeding, but because of something far stronger, genuine connection. And as she continued winning, that connection grew into unstoppable momentum that the tournament could not manage. Every match started feeling less like a standard step forward and more like a special occasion. The stands filled in ways that early round games almost never see. The atmosphere moved from courteous clapping to something much closer to a passionate home crowd, even in a city famous for split loyalties and short attention spans. It appeared in digital activity where her best moments regularly outperformed games featuring more established names. By the time she reached the later stages, the storyline had completely reversed, and that is where the contrast becomes impossible to overlook. Because while players like Sabalenka and Gauff bring huge reputations, their appeal has always depended on organization, marketing, and the assumption that crowds will appear simply because they are expected to. Alex Eala completely reversed that formula.
To see a youngster really step up to the challenge. It looked like she was fading away physically towards the start of that second set, but she fought back. And the fight is something that we're going to constantly see for years to come if she can just keep going on this momentum.
Yeah,
What'd you see, Paul?
She just has an amazing spirit. I mean, the way she fought through that match. And look, it's one thing to win a bunch of big matches in a row. You see the leg taped up. You see her playing a terrific player like Jessica Pegula. And like you said, Coco, there were moments in there where we're like, okay, that's it. I mean, how many times did we get off the couch in the green room and start to walk in here?
Supporters were not showing up because they were instructed to. They were showing up because they genuinely wanted to. And that difference changes everything. It separates attention that is planned in advance from attention that is truly deserved. It separates a match that looks significant on paper from a match that feels significant in the actual moment. And as long as she remained in the tournament, Miami felt vibrant. Every round she advanced made the whole event larger, noisier, and more unpredictable. Networks embraced her journey. Commentators changed their style. Even occasional fans started arranging their schedules around her games instead of the official timetable. But then, the critical moment arrived. Sabalenka versus Gauff should have been a guaranteed full house, a viewership draw, a flawless ending for a major event. Instead, it turned into an example what occurs when the athlete creating natural interest is no longer in the picture. Ticket sales slowed dramatically compared to the rush seen during Eala's run. Resale sites showed a steep decline in demand. The excitement that once ruled social media discussions turned into ordinary commentary and expected arguments. And that is when the truth began to settle. This was not simply chance. This was real influence. The kind of influence that cannot be created artificially, timed, or quickly substituted.
Gracious to all her fans. She spends time with her fans, signs the autographs, takes the photos, and really just shows the Filipino community that it is all about the Philippines. And I still carry that flag with me no matter where I go across the world. And such a young woman at that has that wisdom of just what it means to play for her country.
Only 20 years old, such maturity, already a hero to her entire nation. I mean, it's basically Manny Pacquiao and Alex Eala. Right? I mean,
Because what Alex Eala delivered in Miami was more than talent. It was storytelling power. She gave fans a reason to care that went beyond rankings. She built tension that felt deeply personal. She transformed early round games into must-see moments and made the entire tournament revolve around her presence. And when she departed, that powerful pull vanished along with her, which raises a question the WTA cannot easily resolve. How does an unseeded athlete, one who was not even viewed as a major threat at the tournament start, become the single greatest force behind ticket demand, viewer spikes, and total involvement? And more importantly, what does it reveal about the present setup when that same athlete was originally dismissed as unimportant? Because this is not limited to one event. It is about a clear separation. Eala revealed at Gap Live. She proved that influence in today's tennis goes beyond trophies or rankings. It comes from presence, relatability, and the skill to create moments that people feel driven to follow. And in Miami, she achieved all of that without the usual official support normally needed to gain that level of attention.
You just asked about the switched courts. Well, I was actually shocked that they were considering canceling my match, or they were like giving me a couple options of the stadiums, and I was like, but what's the problem for Alcaraz and Fonseca start later? Because yesterday the night session started at 9 and then Mira was playing, so I was actually like really shocked the idea of like even canceling my match. But I just decided to play today just so I have, if I win, I have a day off and I have time to prepare, to recharge and everything. But I was actually shocked, to be honest, but I'm happy that they gave me options so I could choose what's the best for me.
Which makes the contrast even more striking when you examine the final. You are looking at two outstanding competitors with solid careers, international fame, and years of backing behind their images. Yet, in terms of pure pull during this particular tournament, neither came close to what Eala produced in just a handful of matches. That is not a personal view. That is shown in the data, in the crowd patterns, and in the change in fan behavior before and after her departure. It is shown in the way the tournament felt overall. And that is the element you cannot imitate. Eala provided them that feeling. And once they experienced it, everything else seemed calmer, more routine, and less pressing, which is why the WTA's choice, or more accurately their failure to notice, now appears less like a normal error and more like a lost chance to completely embrace what was unfolding right before their eyes. They did not generate her momentum, but they also did not spot it soon enough to make the most of it. What made the situation even more awkward for the Women's Tennis Association was how obvious the difference became in real time. As online discussions moved from excitement about who would claim the title to a much simpler, almost direct question: why did it feel like the tournament reached its peak before the final even started?
Indian Wells just ended, and because tennis never sleeps, we now go to Miami. And guys, I wonder, is the WTA ever gonna give us the graphics quicker? Because we always have to wait for them so freaking long. But I digress. Let's talk about this draw. In this draw, you will see Emma Raducanu, but she's not gonna play because she has pulled out due to an illness. Let's start with the fresh Indian Wells champion and the world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka. Now, Sabalenka's quarter doesn't look the worst out of all of the top players, but I'm excited to see Ostapenka in her quarter, as well as Svitolina and Zheng. And to go into more detail about her first match, of course, she's going to get a bye for the first round, and then she's going to play either against a qualifier or against Lee.
And that question remained because everyone watching it already lived to the highlight, and it did not feature the top seeds, the prepared storylines, or the carefully arranged bracket meant to produce a predictable ending. It featured Eala. And once that became clear, everything else began to look different because this was never supposed to occur. Tennis, especially at the elite level, is built on structure. Rankings set the expectations, seedings shape the path, and tournaments are organized to guarantee that the biggest names meet at the conclusion, where the pressure is greatest and the crowd is largest. But Miami turned that thinking upside down. The most captivating matches were not the ones that were scheduled. What made Eala's influence even more noticeable was how naturally it developed without the usual support system. There were no huge pre-event promotions presenting her as the star of the show, no heavy media campaigns positioning her as a must-watch talent, and no assumption that she would lead the tournament story. She simply competed, and the audience responded. That sort of natural growth is uncommon in any sport, and when it occurs, it usually points to something larger than a single tournament performance. it points to a change.
Now, Sabalenka, you should know more than anybody that one of the major tenets in sportsmanship is to win gracefully and to lose gracefully. If you're going to be a champion, you also must lose like one. And minimizing Coco's accomplishment in her French Open title is not going to make the pain any less.
In the past 2 weeks, I played really tough matches, really incredible players, and I played definitely better level than in the final. It was really, honestly, the worst tennis I played in the last, I don't know how many months, and the conditions were terrible, and she simply was better in these conditions than me, and I think it was the worst final I ever played.
And that is exactly what made the ticket situation for the final so telling, because it revealed the difference between who the system pushes and who the audience truly connects with. On one side, you had Aina Sabalenka and Coco Gauff, two athletes whose records, rankings, and worldwide images make them undeniable stars in every traditional way. On the other side, you had the lasting effect of a player who was no longer even competing, yet somehow continued to overshadow the whole event. That is not ordinary, and it is definitely not easy for an organization that depends on predictability to create its biggest occasions. What makes this even trickier is that it is not a criticism of the athletes in the final, because both Sabalenka and Gauff performed exactly as expected, delivering excellent tennis, professionalism, and the kind of display that confirms their standing. Discovery remains one of the strongest elements in sports because it gives fans a sense that they are seeing something before the rest of the world notices. Something that feels personal, almost like joining a moment before it turns mainstream. That feeling cannot be planned. It cannot be arranged, and it certainly cannot be substituted once it fades.
I think this was probably, today was a bit more straightforward, but this week has been a lot of long matches, and, through the battles, I was having fun, and, it is nice to get through in 2 sets today, though.
And boy, did you. Safe to say that Coco's got her groove back. Let's talk about, it has been a struggle. Early departure from Indian Wells, you hurt your arm, but now you're feeling great. You're playing this kind of great tennis. Take us through this journey over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, after Indian Wells, there was thoughts of maybe not playing this tournament.
Which is why the WTA silent disappointment is not only about one choice, but about what that choice exposed. It exposed the existing framework, for all its order and reasoning, still has trouble spotting momentum while it is building. And by the time it notices, the chance to fully take advantage of it has already gone. And that is the true lesson from Miami. People begin searching for it, and if they do not discover it, they sense the absence. So now the question is no longer about what took place in Miami, but about what will happen next. Because the next time a player like Eala begins creating that kind of momentum, will the system identify it soon enough to lift it up, or will it once again stand aside while the audience decides for itself who truly counts?